So it's Friday. It's been a busy week for me. I've had to dealing with all of the kids' medical stuff for like one of them's going into middle school and the other one has some stuff going on. We're trying to keep the kids healthy, and so Dad has to do a lot of driving to appointments and making appointments and follow up appointments and blah 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 blah. This week was really busy with that. Yeah, I don't know why. We had a 4th of July weekend where we had a cookout with the neighbors. That was nice. Very mellow. I wouldn't say that it was particularly patriotic aside from the fact that we enjoy each other's company in a kind of fellowshipy way. It was fun. We had a good time. We're all really friends now, so that's nice. It's nice to be friends with your neighbors. It's something that's kind of rare these days. So, what do I want to talk about this week? Well, competency, of course. Let's do it. Welcome back to Trent Takes On 2.0. I'm Trent from the title of the show, and I'm taking on competency. I'm taking it on, baby. Pow. I actually sat down and had a nice discussion with my partner, my wife, today about artificial intelligence. And so that is still on my plate, and I still want to come back around to it. I've decided on it. I finally decided I'm going to do an artificial intelligence special. So for those of you who look forward to the show every week, hey, thinking either this coming week or the week after, we're going to have an extra show where I talk about artificial intelligence. My take on artificial intelligence. Anyway, I tell you, this has been a tough week for competency. Absolute tragedy. 4th of July weekend in Texas. And New Mexico. There were floods in New Mexico too. They're not getting any traction out there, but horrible, tragic flooding in Texas, Kerr County, Texas. I've been there. It's on the Guadalupe River. This is a river that's notorious for flooding. It happens a lot. Not like this. This was just like once in 100 years kind of thing. And Texas is, I say this, I use this phrase a lot, and people kind of like scratch their head. They don't get it. Texas is a don't tax, don't spend government. They have a don't tax, don't spend state government. They have a don't tax, don't spend local governments. That's just their style. Oklahoma was the same way. I'm from these two places, so I would know. The idea is we don't really tax much because we think that taxation is theft, and because we're all like weird libertarians, except we're not really libertarians because we do totally want to control your social life. Yeah. So they don't tax and they don't spend, and that means that their roads are trash, and their bridges are trash, and their infrastructure is trash, and their electrical grid is super trash. It's run by a group called oh my gosh, not CCOT. That's the prison in El Salvador. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. I know this. Anyway, there's a private industry. Well, it's a partnership with the state that keeps up with the power grid in Texas, and it's bad. It's been bad for years. They are cut off from the rest of the United States because they refuse to join us in sharing power because reasons. I don't know. And that causes them to they get blackouts that last really long times because there's no way. That's if the power falls off, if the generation falls off, then they just have nothing. Not like down lines and stuff. That's normal. Down lines and stuff, you get outages because you can't get from A to B. Sometimes they have the power generation just shuts down, and therefore there is nothing to send to B. That happened a couple years ago when they had a record cold snap. Several people perished in they froze to death in the winter. They have brownouts every summer, often because the power draw is too much for their ridiculously underpowered grid. Blah blah blah. So they don't tax, they don't spend, they don't do prevention for anything. They don't spend on their schools. They don't spend for disaster preparedness. So systems that could have been put into place to avoid this kind of flooding on this river, and in many situations, hopefully there's a silver lining to this, and that we learn from these things. But a relatively inexpensive system could have been put in place to warn people faster that there was a flood coming. This is one of those problems where the multiple places where you can get information now become a problem, because you want people to get that information quickly. Well, if people are going to thousands of different places to get information, how do you make sure that the same information gets out to all 1,000 places? Sorry, I just dropped my screwdriver there. I don't know. But I grew up with storm sirens. When you heard the storm sirens go off at noon on Friday, you knew that was the test. It went off every Friday at noon. If it went off any other time, you knew that there was a tornado in the area and that you should seek shelter. It's an old system. It works. Anyway, this was largely probably not entirely avoidable, but certainly some lives could have been saved. It looks like the final death toll will be 250 or so. A real tragedy, a real horrible tragedy. And flash flooding is no joke. It's scary, scary shit. It's similar to a hurricane in that you kind of see it coming. But it does really, they say flash flooding because it happens that fast. I've seen flash floods in the Oklahoma drainage basins. They're scary. Water jumping up, just flooding out from the banks of a river, making the river 5, 10, 20 times the size that it was before. I've seen the Red River in full flood mode, and it separates Texas from Oklahoma, and it's wild. Anyway, there was a lot of don't tax, don't spend incompetence that cost people lives. And it brings us to the role of government and what it's supposed to do. What are we supposed to be doing, What are we supposed to be doing here? Are we supposed to be taking care of people? Are we supposed to be maintaining the society itself? That's what I always thought the government was. It was a way to maintain the society. It was a way to protect it from outside threats and inside threats. It was a way to bring resources together for large projects like, militaries and disaster response and things like that. It's a way to stimulate growth and encourage entrepreneurship, to encourage capitalist. Actually, you could do the same thing with other types of economic models, communism, socialism. You can utilize the government to encourage growth or to create growth or to command growth. It is what it is, right? The government has a lot of function. Republicans have a tendency to feel like there is no role for government. We should all kind of be bootstrapping it around, which is pretty wild to say, everybody should be making their own way and you should be bootstrapping away, but we're never going to allow anyone to estate tax people on death. If your parents were rich, you get all their money. You don't have to bootstrap it. Your parents did it, or their parents did it, or 90% of the millionaires in this country inherited their money. They didn't make it on their own. But Incompetence is when you just don't know how to do a job. You're not competent in how to do it. You can't pull it off. And the disaster response in Texas was not good. But the disaster response from FEMA, the Federal Emergency, I've already forgotten what FEMA stands for. I'm out of it today. It is hot as balls in my garage, and this is painful. Federal Emergency Management Agency. There you go, FEMA. FEMA did not get boots on the ground until 72 hours after the flooding, which is bad. That's a poor response time. That's just one example of this regime's complete incompetence. And one of the other things that's happening is they continue to, quote unquote, cut costs. Fraud, waste, and abuse, they call it all. It's all fraud, waste, and abuse. Of course, if you don't understand what you're doing, anything can look like waste. They don't understand what they're doing. They're incompetent at their jobs, so everything looks like a waste to them. So they're just cut. We'll just figure it out later. Today they fired 1,300 people from the State Department. These are the people who maintain our relationships with other nations around the world. These are important things. Soft power is important. It's how you, avoid wars. Hello? It's how you build beneficial alliances. The State Department is a good thing. It pays for itself time and time again. It's just incompetence and more incompetence and more incompetence. The Mad King Donald has decided he's going to instill a bunch of tariffs again, and I'm doing a 50% tariff on Brazil, which is a country that we have a trade surplus with. In other words, they buy more of our shit than we buy of theirs. Now, we buy a lot of their shit. Coffee, for example. 40% of the coffee consumed in the United States comes from Brazil. So, what are we going to do? We're going to see a massive increase in the price of our fucking coffee. Because Donald Trump is mad at the Brazilian government for holding Bolsonaro accountable for the coup that he attempted to stay in power after he lost his election. That should sound familiar. Because, we, the United States, we don't do that. If you incite a coup to try and stay in power, that's okay here. But in Brazil, no. They're very upset. And they should be. The wheels of justice in this country turn very slowly. These chuckleheads do not deserve to be in government. They can't do it. First of all, they're not interested in it. They're not interested in governance. So they try to do it all by ideologue. Like, I've got this idea for the way things have to be, and that's what we're shooting for, as opposed to understanding the system itself and attempting to make improvements on it, or determining whether or not that system needs to be replaced whole cloth. Absolutely ludicrous the way they're doing things. Absolutely ludicrous. And that's why all of these people have taken early retirement. All of these people have voluntarily resigned. And then they're firing people on top of that because they know this is just not how you're supposed to run anything, much less a government that's supposed to support 340 million Americans. Our federal government has become a joke. It's a joke. These tariffs that are one guy's decision. He's using an emergency power that... Are we in a state of emergency? Just out of curiosity. Everything was going fucking great until this dude showed up. And then he decided everything was an emergency and he starts swinging around his emergency power dick and he's breaking everything. He's breaking our alliances. He's breaking our military. They've broken the Department of Justice. Dude, forget about the fucking law in this country anymore. It's a damn joke. They've broken the Department of Education. They've broken the Department of Transportation. They've taken food out off the the tables of poor children by tearing away SNAP benefits now. They've taken $1 trillion out of Medicaid. They're breaking our healthcare system. They break everything they touch because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And so their only response to everything is we're going to privatize it. And so in order to privatize it, we just got to break everything. We don't have any plan to privatize it. Who the fuck is going to take these contracts? How are we going to pay for any of this? Also, that the richest among us can get an additional tax break. That's a fun part. They say, oh, you got all these tax cuts. No, we didn't. They just made the existing ones last longer. And they're not permanent. They're all temporary. The only permanent tax cuts are the ones for the rich people. The only permanent tax cuts are the ones for the rich people and the corporations, and that's it. And all the rest of the tax cuts that they gave us or continued for us are temporary. Think about that. Think about that, and that's where they are. That's who they serve. They don't serve the 340 million Americans that actually, make up this country. They serve the, 200,000 ultra-wealthy? 500,000 ultra-wealthy? That's who they serve? That's who they serve. So, it's an absolute shit show out there. The federal government can't do anything right. They're a fucking joke. They're all a joke. And the morale of the people who are continuing to flounder around because their leadership is dumb as shit just drops and drops and drops. And what happens when your morale drops? You just don't do as good a job. And if you're already led by incompetent people and already doing a piss poor job, holy crap. You want to talk about ugly in the future? This is going to get even worse. These people can't do anything right. They were supposed to cut costs for American consumers. We're talking about in the goods and services that we buy in our everyday lives. Inflation heating right back up, and tariffs are inflationary. So they're going to further increase inflation. These chuckleheads think that by putting additional taxes on things, they're going to bring down costs. Nope. That has never been the case. Our current tariff situation is the same as it was in 1932. What the hell happened what was going on in 1932? Oh, that's right. The Great Depression. Learn your history, kids. The economy continues to take a downturn. They continue to ignore it and blame the prior administration during which the economy was just fine. Everything was fine till they started fucking with things. But because they don't know what they're doing, it's just break. And that's what we're looking at. How about there are Marines and National Guardsmen running around my city? My greater metropolitan area. They're everywhere. I have to watch videos. I watched a video where a guy got yanked out of a clinic that's like 3 miles down the house from where I live. I've been in that building. I watched a dude get yanked out of a clinic by 3 ICE guys. I guess they're wearing masks because that's what they do, even though it's 97 fucking degrees here. They're wearing their masks. They're wearing their full gear. I hope they sweat their balls off. Okay? I hope your balls shrivel up and fall off. Because you know what you're doing is wrong. That's why you're wearing a mask. You're pathetic. But they didn't have a warrant. They didn't have paperwork to take this guy in. They didn't even have an administrative order. They were going on whatever they were referring to it as probable cause. They're going with probable cause. That's what Tom Homan, the immigration czar, or I don't know, supreme racist, I think we should probably call him. If you have probable cause, you can stop people and question them. Based off of what? What they look like? Yeah, that's what he said. He said, yeah. pretty sure that's a violation of the Fourth and Fifth Amendments. But what do I know? What they're doing is wrong. And they know it. And that's why they hide their faces. I did a whole episode about this. It is ludicrous. They're trying to deport 3,000 people a day. Here you go, guys. Here's how I can tell you they are completely incompetent. Their stated plan, was to deport the 12 million undocumented persons in the United States in 4 years. 12 million. How many is that per year? Let's see. I'm going to put it into my into my calculator. 12 million divided by 4, 3 million, right? 3 million. Oh my goodness, 3 million? Holy cow, you're going to deport 3 million people a year? How about a month? Let's divide that 3 million by 12. That's 250,000 people a day. A day. I'm sorry, a month. A month. And then you divide that by 30 to get your, you actually need to deport 8,333 and a third people every month or every day to get to your 250K a month. It's not possible. It is not possible. Even with the increase in budget that they've just been handed, that makes them the largest police force in the world, and to have a higher budget, ICE has a higher budget now than the FBI and the National Security Agency and the what is it called, the firearms people, FTB, FB, alphabet soup, ATF, alcohol, tobacco, firearms. Got it. It's actually the ICE budget is higher than all of our other federal law enforcement combined. I said that it was, on the last pod, I said that it was the highest, it was higher than the United States Marine Corps. That's true. It's also a higher budget than all but 16 militaries in the world, including our own. Wow. For what? To deport 12 million people. Now, my question is this. They kept saying illegal immigrants who are like the undocumented people who are the worst of the worst. They keep saying the worst of the worst. These are the criminals. These are the ones that you really want gone. How the fuck many of those do you think there are? How many are there? I'm just curious, because if you find 8,000 of them a day, I mean, that means I'm probably, I don't know, interacting with many of them all the time, right? These are not bad people by any means. And here's the thing. They're just taking people without even going through due process. They're just taking people because they don't care about the actual work. They care about the number. Incompetent. It's just dumb. It was a dumb plan. It's being reduced. The execution of this thing is absolutely ridiculous. Kristi Noem is a joke. Cosplay Barbie, or whatever we're calling her, she's just, that is such a bad thing to say about Barbie. Barbie, also great movie. Barbie was very much about women's empowerment. Kristi Noem is just awful. They can't get the economy straight. They can't do this immigration thing right. They've fucked up the federal workforce. My test to everybody: what have they done right? What have they done right? They have alienated our allies across the globe. They have exacerbated conflicts that were pre-existing. Then they've created new conflicts on top of that. And by that I mean, well, we're just going to bomb a bunch of people in Yemen, which we've done off and on for the last few years because, well, we like to bomb people, I guess. And then we're going to strike Iran. On what authority? Just, we feel like it. Turns out they screwed that up too. The highly enriched uranium that they were trying to get to get in their attack, they failed. Iran still has it. It's still out there. Oh my goodness. Pete Hegseth keeps screwing up at the Department of Defense. I mean, the whole regime is a joke. They're terrible at this. Their lawyers are awful. They lose case after case after case until they get to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court bails them out every time. This Supreme Court, by the way, is as corrupt as So, these guys are terrible at governing. They're terrible at it. They can't even fulfill their own promises. Look at the way they treated the Epstein shit. Of course they can't release the Epstein files. Donald Trump is all over them. Probably a whole bunch of other Republican politicians, too. Of course they can't release it. MAGA's pissed off. You told us you were going to release. You told us that you were going to expose all the secrets of the deep state. Nope. They can't even do that right. These idiots can't do anything right. All they can do is be cruel. Be cruel, be mean. Steal. They steal. They're doing a lot of that. They're doing pretty good with that. Lots of stealing. That's our government. It's supposed to be our tool to better our society. And we elected these idiots who don't even believe in the separation of powers. Mad King Donald really does think he's king. He really believes he's king. He can say whatever he says goes. The legislature is just there. They're all a bunch of court jesters to him. Do what I tell you to do, or I'll replace you with a new court jester that will. That's how he looks at the entire federal government, including congressmen and senators, congresspersons and senators, congress people. Damn. I don't know. Congress, that's how he looks at the legislative branch. And then there's the judicial branch. Everybody that he appointed in the first term, everybody that was appointed by a Republican, he just assumes that they're going to rule in his favor because they all owe him. You all owe me, so you'll do what I've told you to do. And if you do rule against me, I'm going to ignore it. So, this is a joke. It's a bad joke. It's not funny. It's more like a tragedy. We're back to tragedy again. People are getting hurt. Fortunes are being lost. An economy is being destroyed. The environment is being destroyed. Our alliances around the globe are being destroyed. Not to mention the fact that we still haven't stopped the genocide in Palestine. Because, and we still haven't done anything about the war in Ukraine. The invasion of Ukraine is ongoing and seemingly permanent. We forget about it every once in a while, and then, the worst attack ever happens in Kyiv because the Russians decide they have to flex their muscles. This entire regime is incompetent. Thank God. If they were competent, we'd really be in trouble. And they hate each other. They really, really hate each other. We've got an attorney general and some guys in charge of the FBI who are fighting over the Epstein bullshit. Yep. They spun a conspiracy theory for years, and now they're in a place where they promised they would do something about it, and now they're supposed to do something about it, and there's nothing they can do. Why the hell can't they release all the stuff that they have? Why? I've got a hint. And it sounds like Mad King Donnie is all over that thing. Because he is. Oh my goodness. What a disaster. Deep state. Yep. Who was in charge of the deep state when they pulled Epstein in? Who was the attorney general when he was, found dead in his cell? It was Bill Barr. Happened during the Trump administration. That's right, kids. They were the deep state then. So, this gang that can't shoot straight, this gang of idiots, morons, incompetents that don't know what the hell they're doing and don't care to find out either. That's the true showing. They're not even curious to know what they don't know. And lack of intellectual curiosity, that's like the worst thing that you can have. And they're up against the Democrats who continue to infight about their gerontocracy, which is, I think that's how you say it, gerontocracy. Anyway, old people in charge, because the young people in the Democratic Party are like, you guys need to get with the times and address these problems a lot more. We got to start fighting harder. And the gerontocracy just sits there and goes, we've been here before. We'll get through it. No, we haven't been here before. This is all uncharted territory, you dumb shits. You need to get off the sidelines, get in the fight, and start duking it out. Some people get it. Some people don't. But the Democrats are in there fighting amongst themselves when they could be telling a pretty straightforward story. The people in charge right now of every facet of government are Republicans, and they can't do anything right. They're all idiots. All they do is serve the multimillionaire class. They don't give a flying fuck about people down here on the ground with me. They don't care. They'll hurt anybody. Remember, rich people get richer whether the rest of us get poorer or not. But I think it's that they see it as more fun if we all become poorer while they get to be richer. That's just a guess. I don't know. I'm not rich. I never will be, which is fine. I am who I am. But I tell you, the Democrats need to get their shit together and stop infighting and settle on a message. It's 99 versus the 1. You could go with that. It's the 99% versus the 1%. We are your party. We are the party of the people. The people, we believe in democracy. We want to do what you need done for you. They only work for the billionaires. They only work for the what do you call it? The aristocrats. The aristocracy. There you go. They only work for the rich people who inherit their money. Seriously. Are we just not going to go with that? How about just they're incompetent? They're just shitty at this. They don't know how to do things. They don't know how to build anything. All they know is how to break stuff. How about that? These guys, if you want to continue to break society and the world, elect some Republicans. They are awesome at this. They are awesome at trashing everything. That's their wheelhouse. Sweet spot. A bunch of incompetent, destructive assholes. Rich. You left out rich. A bunch of incompetent, destructive, rich assholes. And corrupt. Holy smokers. How much money are these guys going to make? Every week I see another story that comes out about somebody who bought a bunch of stock and then dumped a bunch of stock right before Mad King Donnie made some proclamation that made the stock drop like a stone. Yeah, by the dip, right? Seriously. This trade war bullshit? Come on, man. They don't know what they're doing. So Democrats need to get their poop in a group and come out with swinging, with something. These idiots can't do anything right. That'd work. These idiots only work for the rich people. That would work. Totally believable. Whew. We can't let them off the hook for this big, disgusting bill that they signed. It is gross. And hopefully we can repeal it and replace it with something that's not fucking draconian and not ungodly expensive for no fucking reason. Tax the rich, man. Tax the rich. It's 3 words. Tax the rich. Tax the rich. You can even chant it. It'll fit on a bumper sticker. Tax the rich. Yeah, let's do this. Democrats need to get it together. Start swinging. Be on the offense. Don't be scared. I just read this report where they're scared to go on the offense because some of the worst cuts to Medicaid don't happen until after the midterms. So they're going to feel like they're crying wolf. People are still going to have their Medicaid. They're going to be like, oh, my Medicaid didn't get cut. And the answer is it's all in the bill. It's there. You want to read it. It's there. They're cutting Medicaid. It starts in 2026 because they want you to say what you're saying now. I still have it. It's okay. You're not going to have it for long. Also, some of those Medicaid cuts happen right away. Yep. So, it's a disaster. It's a disaster. I keep hearing this refrain. Everybody's like, tell the personal stories. Sorry, I should be more specific. I see this on news programs and talking heads and things where they're saying Democrats need to share the personal stories, share the stories of these people that these things are hurting. Not really. You don't have to. You can just say this is happening all over the country. And everyone knows somebody that this is affected. Somebody that this is terrorizing. Somebody that this affects on a daily basis. ICE raids with these masked agents who are ashamed to be doing their jobs. That affects a lot of people. A lot of people. A lot of people. Everywhere. For the record. Their 3,000 deportations a day is barely 40% of what they need to do to meet Stephen Miller's goal of 12 million. Just throwing that out there. And they're way behind already. So I expect everything to get ratcheted up and this to become more unpopular. It better, because it's tearing our country apart. We're a country of immigrants. You can't take the immigrants out of it. It's just killing us all. So, take heart in the competence, incompetence, I guess. That's something. Unfortunately, I don't know that the Democrats are a whole lot more competent, and they are the best chance that we have of reversing the tide. So, I don't know. I'll keep writing emails and see what happens, but no one's responding to me. I'm getting a little discouraged. I'll be back next week with another show, maybe two, because I'm doing an artificial intelligence special. Either next week or the week after. I don't know. I'm going to probably get liquored up for that one so I can really fucking rail, because I'm not a fan of artificial intelligence. I'm not a fan at all. So that's coming soon. Until I come back next week, here's what I've got for you. Share this with a friend, or 2, or 10, or 25, or take it to the family reunion and play it over the loudspeakers. Whatever you got to do to get the word out. Get the word out. Share me with a friend. Share me. There's plenty to go around. So, after you share me with a friend, after you share me with your loved ones, remember to be kind to people, but don't be a pushover. If somebody's going to be an asshole and Trumpify at you, don't fight them. Just be straight up. You don't know what you're talking about. You're an idiot. Fuck off. And then leave. Just walk away. And I know that we're supposed to embrace these people and bring them into our fold. No. If they come to us and say, look, I fucked up, that was dumb, then yes, absolutely, come on in. But if you can't admit that what you thought you wanted, you ain't getting, it's a double negative. What you thought you wanted, maybe it isn't. I don't know. If people can't admit that they've made a mistake, then fuck them. They're not going to listen to you. So don't waste your breath. All right. Cool beans. Groovalicious. I'm going to get this out as quick as I can for your Friday afternoon commute. I'll be back next week. Until then, be good humans. It's the least we can do. Thank you all so much. I love you. I love you. Love you.